definitely been asked that, and it's interesting when I am, because what's playing in my head, what I want to say is, well, no one comes up to my wife and says, "What's your role going to be at your husband's job?" So there's always that tension that there's something different about this job that she has. That somehow my life is supposed to be entwined in that in a way that hers never would be in my work. But I think how I dealt with it, just this summer with our latest move was to say, well, I really don't know. I really don't know what my role's going to be. It's a new place, new people. I don't know, it'll shake out in the course of time.
So I'm going to ask a quick follow-up question.
I usually defer. Yeah.
Okay, so how well is that accepted?
Pretty well, at least on the face of things. As things have been shaking out over the last few months at this new church, I have found places where I really want to plug in, and others where I'm not as interested in plugging in, and I'm following those up. But there is definitely an expectation, at least on some people's parts, when you first arrive, that you're going to be doing something too. All right, isn't it going to be this? Well, maybe no. I don't really enjoy that. Yeah.
Thanks. So, Lisa.
Sure. Sure. I was just thinking how kind and respectful Phil's answer was. And maybe I should take note, because what I typically say, and I try to be very respectful about it, but I also don't want to beat around the bush and lead people to think that that I'm going to do something that I am very much prepared not to do. So I typically say, since we just started, I feel like we're in the midst of transition. Eddie started a new job over the summer, and so I feel like we're still in that. But what I do tend to say is I kindly remind people that Hopewell hired Eddie, not me, and we're really excited to get to know about all of the things that the church does, both in the community and in the world. And I'm excited to learn a little bit more about the people and the events. And then I follow it up again to say, it's great that Hopewell hired my husband.
I like that.
I think that's
I'm getting
great.
a little bit more respectful,
Yeah,
but
I think that's
I
gracious.
do. I want very much for people to know that we are our own people, and there are 3 of us who will be attending because of this position, and 1 who will be working there full time.
So you bookend
I do
that statement.
It's I learned somewhere that, like, when you're giving, not that you give, I'm being critical of folk, but like, you start with something positive, you say what it is that you're going to do or what you're not going to do, and then you follow it up with something positive. So for me, the reminder to this rather large congregation is you hired 1 person, and hopefully you'll get to know 3 of us because of that decision, and 1 will be working for the church. That's mine. Bernie's is a little bit different though,
But
right?
it's interesting because I grew up not in the Methodist church, so I didn't grow up with the clergy laity dichotomy. And for me, I don't like it, because I think that we are all of the priesthood of believers. And so I really have a sense that when I come to the church, my first obedience is to God, and then to my family and husband. And so while I'm a partner in ministry with Gary, it's every church has been different, and now that we're not living close to the church, it used to be more difficult to set boundaries when we lived right next door. But I don't feel like I had to compromise who I was. I think it was more difficult setting boundaries in the whole community, because when I wasn't working outside of the home, so my volunteer life really in the whole community, the school, and all of the places where I was. But I don't feel like I had to compromise who I was as a woman, and as a child of God, as a member of a church. And so I would, before I married Gary, a clergy spouse said to me, when you go to a church, do not sign up for anything in the first year. let it settle down, like you said, and then see where God's calling you. So I would say, kind of like what you do. I don't know where God's going to call me to serve, but as a member of this church, I will be active and I'll be faithful. And so, I think that sometimes weeding out people's expectations in the midst of the question, they might accept my answer at face value, but the unspoken expectations then come later. And that's where, for me to be discerning and to be able to say no and not be a people pleaser. That's a whole different issue though.